welcome back. After a short wee break, we are now here for our next match, Revival versus Poker Face, and this is going to be quite an uphill battle for Revival, I feel. Just on paper, Poker Face is very much the favored team here, and Revival, they're going to have to put in the work, especially because if they don't, they are out of contention for playoffs, essentially. This is their opportunity to claw back from the bottom of that board and try and get into playoffs.
It's tough. It's going to be so tough for Revival because they also... Poker Face is undefeated, just like we saw with Dreamers as well. And Revival have also struggled against teams that, well, one of them, like FM, for instance, okay, they took a map off FM, but they're out of the entire competition as well. This is Revival's last chance, and not seeing them beat FM, it does put into question, but we haven't seen them for a little while, so maybe they can, maybe they've practiced, looked into, I want to say looked at the patch notes, but they have been playing reasonably well with the Orisa, but it's hard. They have a lot of substitutions though, some we haven't even seen Apara, so maybe dicing it up a little bit, getting a little bit fun, because, you know, it's like, well, if you play really well, then you get in, but if you don't, then you're out, so you may as well just go, mate. Crazy strats, perhaps?
I mean, you've definitely got to throw everything on the table and hope something sticks at this point. And Revival, they're certainly looking for something to push them through. And when you're looking at a team like Poker Face, when you're looking at a Titan like that, who's, you know, done quite well in Overwatch League, like, standings and whatnot, it is a scary team. I mean, if we just look at Overwatch League, there was summer knockouts. Poker Face versus Dreamers. Poker Face won 3-1. So that just in of itself tells us that Poker Face is this behemoth team, and Revival, they're a little bit of a newcomer. They're sort of coming in here hoping to make a dent in Poker Face.
And as you can see, it will be a miracle Revival. It will be like Overwatch 1 Season 5 Mercy 6-man res kind of Revival to be shot into this team like a nano boost to get them over the line here. Is, yeah, Poker Face been around for a very long time. So, yeah, Revival coming into this one, it's tough. It is tough. But it'll be interesting with the map choices as well that Revival go. Are they going to try and see what Poker Face like to play, pick maps that don't go well with Poker Face's comps, but put them at a bit more of a risk, or they're going to go a bit more comfort picky with the maps, but maybe Poker Face will be just as comfortable as we see the starting lineup with Ruler on the tank. Windy and Hofak will be the DPS, and then keeping everybody alive will be Fiesta and Jinsung. So this is a starting lineup that you kind of expected to see from Revival.
Yeah, and pretty solid lineup for Revival. Certainly, they'll be searching for any Mercy mains out there to try keep them revived in this fight here. Now it's Poker Face, however, coming up against them, and look at this, just as I said, Titans, Pepe, Lego, Valentine, and Proud. Simple. This is you're just looking at talent, like, all across the board. This is a scary team to go against. I've said it a lot of times, but that's because it's so true.
It is so true. They've been playing, each and every one of them have been in the pro scene for a very long time. They've had a taste of the Overwatch League, as we previously mentioned too. So they know what it's like to be with the greats. Whereas Revival, they're new to the being with the greats. I mean, Contenders is no small feat either. So even if you don't win this, you've still got a lot of experience to come away from it too. Looks good on a resume, what can I say? Speaking of this matchup, it will take place in Antarctic Peninsula, as it will be the admin's pick. We haven't seen it for a little while, I don't think, Opa, for you and I.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like maybe since last season. I don't think we've seen an Antarctic Peninsula yet, at least for our cast.
We have.
Did we see it last
first
week?
match
Oh,
of APAC, you and I'm pretty sure, did Antarctic Peninsula. But anyway, yeah, because I talked about the wobbling penguin, something like that.
A
Oh,
little
man.
bit of goldfish memory from both of us there, but that's okay.
We'll get over the line together. I'll remember what.
Yeah.
How about this? I'll remember the first 3 seconds. You'll remember the next 3 seconds, and then we'll just keep rotating that way. Anyway, now to see which characters, which heroes, both teams will select here. Poker Face. Okay, watching a little bit of Milgaru, I see Peppy, if we're going to go out on the Wrecking Ball, whereas Ruler, the very cut and dry Orisa comp, which will help to definitely shut down or dampen Peppy at least a little bit, especially with Windy going over to the Mei, and also a lot of damage from Hofak. So this is... Look, this is like a very, very, very brawly comp coming from Revival. As Poker Face, very pokey now that Pepe's gone over, Peppy, sorry, has gone over to the...
Sigma makes sense, you know. Sigma's such a strong choice from Peppy there, so certainly is going to make it hard for Revival to try push in as aggressively as they're wanting to here. Ruler, you can see, just looking for an opening, looking for that opportunity, and struggling to even peek around the corner.
Took a while for Proud to get back onto the high ground, but now that they are, will make Revival's push that much harder, as they are looking to rotate behind Poker Face.
Poker Face recognize this though. They're just gonna go back once again, say, you come to us and you're gonna struggle coming to us. Look at these TPs, they're like, wherever you go, we're just gonna teleport away. Come here, please.
Nobody's fallen yet, but the most important thing is Poker Face. They do have the objective the entire time, so Revival taking this much time really just works in Poker Face's favor at the end of the day. However, because of all the damage, they do have Coalescence.
Oh, the accretion onto Jinsung! That went right over Ruler's face, but couldn't quite confirm any picks. No one could follow up just in time. Immortality to try and keep Peppy alive, and Valentine and Proud finding two, Revival falling, and man, such a long fight. Put Poker Face at 45% already.
Yeah, that coal did not get any value whatsoever. In fact, it got shut down so quickly that they're already at 50%, switched over to a more traditional comp, I would say. Now you're over on the Baptiste. You've got Windy now on the Genji. We saw an incredible Genji with Top Dragon just before. Can it be replicated from Revival here? But because it's such long fights, Poker Face already at 70%.
The flux into an artillery strike! Ruler and Hofak didn't know what to do. Ruler wasn't even caught in it. They were just hoping to maybe protect Hofak, but that was just nasty, Pat.
Windy, the only one to survive. If they can get out, potentially touch last second, you do have nearly 15 seconds to touch. You have time. Fiesta as well with the sound barrier if you really need it. But Valentine's going to make their push really, really hard. You've got the photon barrier to block pretty much all the damage you've put correctly. And Lego, not to be counted out with their sound barrier either.
Ruler was falling low, but manages to survive thanks to that sound barrier. Windy, though, isn't going to survive. Completely devastated, so much damage, and using that photon barrier, Valentine was able to just walk up to Hofak. Lego doing a wee little dance party there, and Poker Face are looking very convincing right now, Pat.
Yeah, 100-0 is pretty brutal, but Revival, they've had a look at what Poker Face like to play. They tried to match it, but perhaps, you know, it was a bit of a late switch, right? We had Orisa for most of it. They had to switch off nearly having Terror Surge. You're also halfway to a lot of other ultimates as well, but that was completely lost. As that was incredible to shut down the Coalescence immediately, alongside a Flux as well to boot with an artillery strike. And man, Revival going up against those kind of comms together, it's tough. But Revival, hey, hang on, it's kind of... They're doing it again. They're going at it again with the Reaper Mei strategy. Didn't work too well the first time, but I guess this is a little bit more up close and personal sort of map here. But Poker Face immediately getting the high ground away from Revival.
Listen, if you hit your head against a brick wall enough times, it'll probably break. That's, I guess, Revival's choice here at the moment.
Yeah.
Deciding to try and take this comp again.
You do you, Revival, but Rule is super stuck, cannot get TP'd away. And look at the poke, forced to use every single cooldown. So that will just buy PokerFace so much time to cap the points and also get really good defensive positions here as Pepe constantly putting damage down.
Now it's just once again, how are Revival going to approach PokerFace when PokerFace just play the distance? They don't let you get up close like Revival want, and Rule is finding it so hard to just get into any point to take a fight, and then the rest of Revival get caught out alone, and PokerFace just crush it.
I mean, let's break down really, as PokerFace are just running Revival down, let's break down what Revival are trying to do. Revival, they're really playing around Windy's Maywall. They're going to try and get Pepe alone, burst them down with Ruler that was on Orisa before, and then Hofak, that will give Hofak time to get really close, but quite simply, PokerFace are just not allowing that to happen. The Maywalls haven't really gone up very well. Hofak can't even approach. I mean, how long has gone? 50, almost 60 seconds. Hofak falls, 34% remaining. It is just brutal.
This is so hard for Revival. They're being completely snowed under at this rate, you know? Like, they just are struggling to come up with anything because PokerFace are just so strong.
The Revival, I mean, you had the speed boost. That's what you're hoping for, right? For these Maywalls, for the rushdown comp. But it's simply not working when you have the accretion, when you have Proud on Bastion just burning you down. Now Revival doing what they did last map, complete switch arounds, really, with Ruler now gone over to the Tsar, which I think is a better pick as the sound barrier does go.
Artillery strike and a gravitic flux, and Windy's going to be taken out. During it, Ruler falling low, Valentine cleaning up these couple of picks here, and now with 96 seconds left, Revival have to touch his Fiesta to do it, but PokerFace just don't even care. This is much more convincing than anything we've really seen in a while, Pap.
It's a hard watch. Like Revival, they're trying comps that we haven't seen all too much, and I don't want to be too mean, but there's a reason we haven't been seeing a lot of those really brawly comps so far. We've been seeing a lot more of those poke where it's like, okay, if you want to play brawl, this is why you don't, because you're getting poked so much. You can see Orisa using a lot of those cooldowns before even touching the point, so that burns off more time ultimately. And Revival, they're going to have to really switch things up. It's their map pick, and we'll see what it is right after this break.
PokerFace are looking in charge, and Revival are certainly needing to up their game, try and, overclock their systems, find that 110, 120% power to try and take down I've said it a couple of times now, but absolute titans that are PokerFace.
It's It is brutal. I mean, Revival, they're trying something different, something that we haven't seen very much before, and just unfortunately it is not working for them. And then they switch it up about 60, 70%. Then they lose all those ultimates that they'd worked really, really hard to build up. So it is Revival's map pick, as I said before we went over to the break, and going Midtown is rough. I was saying before we went into Antarctic Peninsula, like maybe it's worth taking a risk going into somewhere where PokerFace maybe haven't scrimmed very much in this new meta, but I mean, Midtown is the map of the season. If there ever is one, it is Midtown. So taking them to something that's like PokerFace have played most of their games there, they know the ins and outs of the train system, sure. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it is the map of the season, it's probably the one that Revival have the most experience and practice on. You know, I feel like you'd probably take them somewhere else if you're more comfortable on a map, but maybe they are just most comfortable on Midtown, and that's why they picked it.
It's their comfort pick. Yeah, but the thing, I dare say it's also PokerFace's comfort pick, as PokerFace going the tried and true strategy. Proud though, a little bit different on to the Widowmaker for a pick, but Revival as always trying something different. Here's a couple of subs though. Karawu in for Lego instead. The Baptiste specialist, I presume, but it will be Revival to start off with Ruler, at least onto the Reinhardt. There's going to be no teleport strategies, however, so you're really relying on Fear. And no, never mind, I was about to say. Hofak immediately going over to the Zarya. A bit of wholesale switches before we leave spawn here, as Ruler does also switch over to the Zarya. But again, it is okay. Okay, Ruler. That's just mean. Back to the Reinhardt they go. But we did see this from FM, and it worked a couple of times, and I dare say it might work again with... That's an interesting strategy. I love that.
Maywall onto the train, trying to just collapse on top of Poker Face, and I mean, if they did fall, that could be enough for Revival to start injuring, but with Sun taken down, your heals just aren't quite there. Valentine now hoping to finish Windy off or just get any sort of value out of these sticky bombs that so far Revival look like they've bunkered themselves nice and neatly in the laundry, man.
They're waiting for their teammate, but that also allows for Pepe to come back themselves on the Orisa this time round to really shut down the Reinhardt push. And Valentine constantly building up that duplicate, poking away as Revival finally ready to get into their next spot where the May wall, as they'll be now waiting into this house for their next couple of cooldowns to be active as Poker Face. Very ready for them to come out.
Yeah, you can see it's just waiting, hoping to catch someone out off guard, and Revival nearly caught out Karu, but Karu was able to jump over. Now it's so slow. It feels so slow from Revival, and they need to be rushing on to people a little bit quicker, like what they did with Pepe at the start. Completely take over the competition, but with the slowness, Poker Face can kind of just get back together.
They nearly walled off Karu and then got the TP onto them as well, but that was little to no avail too, and Windy was completely caught out there. But Revival now getting a couple of ultimates to their names. Both support are now ready to go as they're looking for the next TP.
And Matrix to come out, but a captive Sun right on top of all of you. Can Simple make dividends out of it? Currently not quite getting any picks for themselves, but Proud and Karu is going to do it. Ruler now trying to charge through, and Simple is not going to let them take out Simple there. That is Poker Face still holding strong.
And as you said, they're slow pushes, right? They have to be when you are playing the Reinhardt. You can't just send it down main, otherwise you're just going to get poked down every time. So, you know, while it's definitely a fun and I'd say unique comp, it is a slow one. Only 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining here, and because they are so slow, they're going to take the train this time round to just give themselves perhaps another fight if this one doesn't quite work out.
On to behind, trying to take out Karu, and they do fall inside the Blizzard. Baptiste now gone Photon Barrier as well to help sustain themselves a little bit, hide behind the wall to block a lot of that damage. If though, throwing the Terror Surge out, hoping to take a couple of players down, and Proud finds Fiesta with the overclock, hoping to turn this fight back into Poker Face's favor. Valentine and Proud doing work, and once again, keeping this point in control. That was
a tick though. Tick for Revival. 50 seconds remaining. If they do another semi-fast fight TP to the point like they did last time, they will be able to get a full team touch. But I mean, they have a Shatter Revival. Nothing really for Poker Face except for a duplicate from Valentine going perhaps onto Ruler to build up their Shatter of their own. But this is it. Can Revival do it?
TP did not go where they wanted it to, right on top of the taxi. That's going to slow down this approach so much, and yeah, they just opt to wait it out.
If they can't afford to, Afara, 10 seconds remaining here, and there's the something?
Matrix.
I got it.
And Matrix to tease it out. Oh, I got caught from behind. Revival have to put in blood, sweat, and tears to try and make this one. TP slaughtered by the Shatter. Ruler, I'm so sorry. The duplicated Valentine. Revival really wanted that to work.
The fact that Pepe could just stand still like that as they got shattered and not move and go, all right, what's your next move? What are you going to do now? Nothing. That was kind of all I had. That was a power move if I've ever seen one. They got a tick, so they got some sort of win condition here, but it's definitely going to be tough.
Yeah, it just feels like this is a mountain. Poker Face are this gigantic mountain that they have to try and make a move. And this was a way to make a move temporarily, but ultimately, they moved an inch, but not entirely. And that is what Poker Face just managed to do, hold steadfast.
Yeah, some teams can take an inch and it ends up being a mile, but you take an inch for Revival and then Poker Face ends up taking the mile off you. So you end up like 1 step forward, but about 4 steps backwards. However, Revival going into their defense, they're going to bring out the Torbjorn. Don't see that too much in Korean contenders, but see it quite often in APAC taking the hallway strategy. But if what I'm seeing is to be believed, seems like Valentine, they want to do exactly what Hofak did on the Revival's attack. Can Revival push back their own sort of team comp?
Yeah, just missing the Reinhardt ultimately at this point, and it's interesting that they're not wanting to go Reinhardt and just say, hey, this is how you do it. I guess Pepe just wants to stick to the tried and true at this point, take some quick games and go home, have dinner maybe.
Oh, Proud onto the Bastion as well. So they're not looking for that May wall either. They're all going to take hallway this time as they'll be looking to rotate into the house, get their cooldowns, and then burst speed. Unless they're going main now? Fire truck perhaps? They're mixing Revival up as I'm mixing me up as they are going to take the house just from a different angle. Oh, Windy
got caught out. You've got to always keep him guessing, and Windy didn't get the answer correct there. Taken out first, now pointers for Poker Face. They don't need much to get the fight win. Proud is taken down though, but Jinsung follows. The moment Poker Face just looking like they had full control of Point Fiesta, hoping to stall, but this point ticks over and Midtown goes to Poker Face. We are going through these maps quickly, Pap, which is a little bit concerning for Revival.
Yeah, Windy just did not blow in the right direction there, got completely caught out. In fact, the wins are well and truly in Poker Face's favor. I mean, if you're a sailor, you're just in absolutely no wind whatsoever, whereas Poker Face, they've got the Spinnaker out. They're flying downwind in 20 knots, and it's rough to see that Revival cannot even get their main soul up. They cannot get started. They got at least a tick, I suppose, but immediately the winds completely left their sails. And going into this last one now, it is Flashpoint Apara. It is the map that can possibly turn things around. It's what we saw with SPG versus Dreamers, but it perhaps Revival can do the same. Let's see after this break.
Poker Face have set themselves up quite nicely for the 3-0, but we're moving into Flashpoint now, and I think Revival have been revving their engines and now hoping to enter into first gear would be preferable, or even start just going 100 kilometers per hour, 100 miles per hour, if you're just whatever speed you want.
Just some speed, please. Just go. Yeah. We need some forward momentum here, Revival, and perhaps Flashpoint will be the one to give it. I mean, we saw SPG take a map, and not just the map, but super convincingly as well with a 3-0. However, it does feel like Dreamers, they're really ones to take those risks, and sometimes it works, and in Flashpoint it really didn't. Whereas Poker Face, they seem more like, streamlined down the line. This is what we play, this is how we play it. We do have a couple of subs, but more importantly, at least right now, is what map. They've picked New Junk City here, Revival, so instead of the ball comp that we saw from Ilgaru that worked really well, instead we're going to see a lot more of that brawl. We have been seeing a lot more brawl from Revival, a lot more Reinhardt and Orisa, so it's absolutely understandable that you would want to go to New Junk City here.
Absolutely. The brawl just kind of shines here, especially on a couple of points. Arena, Ducks, of course. Junkyard has been quite brawly, but also can work for the Pokes. So, but as you said, we do have some subs, and I think reading those subs from Poker Face, we can kind of get a concept of what they want to play.
Yeah, so Proud is out, Finale is in, Peppy is out, and Muse is in. Muse, a fantastic Zarya we've been seeing quite a bit of here. And then Kario is out, and Spinel is actually in. 2 for Poker Face. Revival, despite having, I think, every sub that you could possibly have not switched anything out this entire time, and will be going in with what we've been seeing earlier. As yet, Muse back on that Zarya finale, incredible hit scan player, leading out with the, we don't actually see Cass very often, but leading out with the Cass to shut down, will be to shut down Windy. Obviously they don't know that they're running the Genji. Nope, never mind. They like to trick me. Poker Face going over to the tried and true. This is what really the meta has been all about. Both sides. The only difference is the BAP for Poker Face, whereas Revival going in for the kill a little bit more with Jin Sung over onto the Kiriko.
Oh, Hofak down early. I was going to say Hofak has to put in a lot of work, but you can't when you're gone. Now Jinsung and Ruler just getting chased down. Valentine hoping to finish that off. Spinel comes to help, and man, Poker Face very strongly take early cap.
Yeah, it kind of felt like their mask just snapped into their boat there for Revival. There was no real fight. Unfortunately, once you lost Hofak so quickly there as Finale, just building up that railgun charge as much as possible. That's how you take out Hofak before, and they do it again as Revival looking for some way to break in.
Man, the doors are just closed at the moment. No entry into this arena. Revival managed to find a back door, try to go in, but Wendy's getting chased down by Valentine, manages to survive for now, and Revival, they just need to start approaching, but the second they do, there's so much damage. Finale and Valentine just pump it out, and Revival don't know how to react, how to enter.
We were talking about Top Dragon's Genji a lot. Well, we cannot leave Valentine out of the picture here, but they do get taken out.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush, Ruler managed to speed onto Valentine, but Revival need to keep the speed up. They need to keep the tempo going. They can't let Muse just walk over Ruler here. The 100 charge is way too scary. Windy does manage to take down Simple here. Windy might be the hope. Revival needed to turn it around. They just need to get that cap, and now Poker Face should fall back and regroup.
A little bit of life here for Revival. They need to get some ultimates and get them quickly. Sound barrier is up now, 98%, let's be honest. But why? Muse. Muse has grab, and Valentine as well has that blade. We've been seeing some incredible blades from Valentine. Finale, really with that overclock too. So Revival, big uphill battle coming.
Grab, a huge grab. That's 4 of Revival right there. Valentine now hoping to clean it up. Ruler taken down. There goes Jin Sung, and that is going to be the point, flipping back to Poker Face, and first point will go the way of Poker Face.
I'm surprised Revival went a bit more proactive with their ultimates. They had Genji and Ruler, Windy and Ruler also with their ults, but Poker Face just a little bit quicker to press Q if you're on PC. Poker Face gonna get to the point a little bit quicker, build up that defensive positioning. Of course, Finale with the overclock for this first defense, but Revival, they're holding a couple more cards, but can they get in?
Revival just need to play the right cards at the right time, try to win this poker match versus Poker Face here, but Finale removing Hofak with the overclock once again. Just Revival not quite playing the hand. The Poker Face was too good, and Revival is sent back to spawn.
There's a little bit of a fight. Jin Sung took it out. Finale.
Ruler's falling low though, Simple finishes them off. They had to actually use an amplification matrix just to confirm that fight.
And that whole time as well, it wasn't capped, so Revival have a little bit more time on their hands to get back for 2 fights if they end up dropping this first one. But they have some ultimates to take it. Windy, we haven't seen a blade from them just yet. Jin Sung will help, I'm sure, with the Kitsune Rush, excuse me. Whereas Poker Face, they actually do not have anything to fight.
Blade gonna try find anybody, but it's Hofek's disruption shot taking out Finale first. Everyone from PokerFace, though, they just ran away from the blade, tried to make sure that Windy didn't get too much value, willingly gave up that point cap to now try and come back and take the fight. The grab onto Fiesta, Fiesta is gone! Muse burning right on through them, and now with that lower speed, PokerFace can start to just take the tempo into their favor, start running over Revival, and that's exactly what they do. Valentine taking two, looking for a third and a fourth.
You can see how much more aggressive Valentine is allowed to be when they are bubbled, where Ruler, when they bubble Windy, more often than not, Windy's behind the tank, not being, they're not allowed to be as aggressive. So that allows Muse to get this 100 charge so consistently. This is final fight for the second objective here, and PokerFace, they're looking pretty good with the sound barrier. However, Ruler, if they can get a big grab here, could shut them out.
That's the goal right now. Ruler just looking to land this grab, turn it back to Revival, but so far they just need to start moving forward. There's the grab onto both supports, late from Valentine to respond, however, it's going to take Jinsung out. Ruler falls, Hofek's down, and that is PokerFace confirming our second point and putting themselves into match point at the moment.
Putting themselves in a really good state here. They're pretty close as well to the next objective, especially Revival losing Windy and Fiesta pretty late into that fight. PokerFace, they'll take this one quite easily, really. As Revival, they're going to have another upwards mountain battle, like we keep saying. Basically Mount Everest at this point, we've said it so often. And Fiesta, though, has the sound barrier to engage, perhaps, if they want Revival to go in pretty hard, but PokerFace with this poke, this amount of damage coming on in, and Revival, they can't find a back door this time round.
Yeah, it's just so hard to approach in. Grab now onto both support, sound barrier coming out, amplification matrix as well. Muse is taken down. All of a sudden, Revival starting to look good on this junkyard, might be able to turn the tides, unlike Arena and Bomb Flats here. Hofek has that overclock if needed, but Windy taken down. PokerFace might want to come back very quickly.
Yeah, now PokerFace, they're going to engage on this pretty hard. It wouldn't surprise me either if we see an overclock perhaps from Finale to try and make this fight a final one. There's Hofek to pressure it first, and it's simple to go.
Yeah, that overclock came out from Hofek instead of Finale, and was simple down. PokerFace really should just regroup, you know, draw some more cards and see what they can do.
See if the next card placed down works a little bit better for their royal flush that they're about to get, as Finale obviously managed to get their overclock up and running, but Revival Windy is played.
Oh, the overclock finding Hofek. Simple does get taken down by that blade, like you said, Windy, trying to keep the fight alive for Revival, and Ruler actually helps out, but Fiesta! Down right in the face, Ruler left alone, and that point will go back to PokerFace for now.
This is the best that Revival have looked, though, as it will tick over with 95%, only 5% to be able to take it here. So for Revival, you see you do see win condition for this objective, as PokerFace, though, they're building up to some seriously big ones. You got Valentine, how great have their blades been so far, but Ruler, honestly, their grabs have been really good this match. If they could shut down Valentine and shut down Muse, this objective could be theirs, but with Spinel, it's going to be tough with that sound barrier.
Hofek trying to go on a wee angle, find someone to try and take the junkyard back at this point, but it's just hard to find anyone. Everyone's hiding. Valentine's blade, however, finds Hofek, disrupt the shot to force the blade away, not let you enter, and Valentine struggles with it. However, meanwhile, Muse is doing all the work, taking down 4, getting point in PokerFace's favor, and probably taking map with that.
Unless they do a ball play, or hang on, Ruler's actually gone over to the Doom Pit. It's touchable, 5% remaining, but when you get a pick like that, I don't think anyone is touching. And that is PokerFace with a royal flush, sending Revival all the way down the pits, as it's not going to work out. PokerFace just too strong.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for Revival, that is them now out of playoffs contention, I believe. There's no real chance for them to come back, as they have been 3-0 twice and 3-1 once. So there is just no more hope, as they do still have one match against Panthera, but there's no real way for them to claw back out at this rate. Pokerface pretty happy with that, putting themselves nice and confidently up the top of the board here in their grouping. And our player of the match, Pepe, solid tank, super good and consistent. And honestly, we talked about a mountain. Pepe was a big part of why that mountain was unmovable. You know, their fortifiers, as we saw, their Sigma plays, they were just a phenomenal tank. Sure, we didn't get to see them as Muse came in at the end there, but Pepe, the first two series were the reason this mountain could not move.
Yeah, as you said, to keep going with that mountain, they really were base camp Pepe. It was like their team compositions were built off what Pepe put down. If it was Orisa, if it was Sigma, it worked out an absolute treat, shutting down ultimates consistently, allowing for the DPS to go even higher on top of that mountain to get those picks. And yeah, it was always going to be very, very tricky for Revival, but they do have good players on their side, and I'm excited to see what they're up for if they ever come back. And I mean, like I said earlier, getting to Contenders is very good going.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all these players put in a lot of work, and there were some shining moments where they started to look good. I think they just did ultimately need to give up that slower comp. But for now, we're going to be jumping onto a quick wee little break, as we have one final match for you right after this.